I'm excited to show you the Tarteist contour palette in today's makeup tutorial. There are two different shades for contouring. I use the darker one, a really pretty blush shade, which Tarte does best. Two highlights. The one in the center is a little bit more shimmery than this softer one, and then a yellow-based corrective brightening powder. Yellow is across from purple on the color wheel, so it will negate any darkness or purple tones. I love this palette. As with any Tarte product, pigment, there's no shortage of pigment. So you just have to lightly touch your brush in there and you will get a lot of color, especially with the contours. So go light with it. If you want a really deep chiseled look to your face, you can easily execute that with the shades in here. But if you want something a little bit softer, just to add some definition but not necessarily look super contoured, just use a fluffier brush, and that way you won't use a packed brush, which would pick up the product even better. So that's my tip. If you're contouring or if you're new, the wider or fluffier brushes you use, the softer the end result. I started with Origin's Cream Eyeshadow in Coffee Buzz. In my crease, I used a fluffy crease brush and picked up Power Player from the Tartelette palette. I love this shade. It's a perfect gray, great for a crease, a little dark for me for all over the lid, but I love the depth it adds to the crease. To add a touch of brightness, I grabbed Supermom with a wide, flat brush and just pressed that right at the inner corners. To highlight my brow bone, I grabbed Supermom again and used a fluffier brush to soften around the outside of my eyeshadow. And again, from the Tartelette palette, Fashionista with an angled eyeshadow brush is going to be my eyeliner today. So typically I use a kohl or pencil liner, but this is a softer look and it ends up being, it makes my lashes look really full actually. I feel like the dark line can sometimes take away from length of lashes, so just using the eyeshadow gives definition and depth without adding too much weight to the top of my eyelid. Curling my lashes with the Shu Uemura Lash Curler, and then I will do a coat of Benefit Roller Lash, and then a couple swipes of the Cherry Bloom Lash Fibers. This has been my mascara routine for a while now, so I will just alternate that on both lashes until I get nice, full lashes. I'm wearing Estee Lauder Double Wear and I'm just applying it with my fingers. As you can see, this is how I apply my foundation most days. I know it's not the proper way, but it's what works for me. It's fast and effective, and this is a full coverage foundation, so it's good for me right now with some breakout issues, but I love the finish. And Makeup Forever Full Cover Concealer under my eyes, as always. I dusted a bit of MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation in N4 just to take any stickiness off my foundation so the contour isn't too strong. The Hourglass Arch Brow Pencil is my best friend. This is the shade Platinum Blonde, believe it or not. It's nice and neutral, adds a ton of depth, but I find it wears quite well. I like it better than blonde against my skin tone. It's totally neutral, has no warmth whatsoever. Back to the Tartelette palette, I grabbed Power Player, which is what I used in my crease, with an angled eyeshadow brush just along my lower lash line. This is kind of like my upper lash line, definition without too much weight from a solid line. Okay, it's contour time. I'm starting with the darker contour shade, and I picked up the darkest one of the palette. I liked how neutral it was. And chiseling under my cheekbones, I'll go along my jawline.
I'll do a tiny bit on my nose that I really blend out quite a bit afterwards because I don't like a heavily contoured nose. I feel like I don't really need it, but it is a nice sort of finishing look while I'm contouring. And then the last part is up by my temples. That adds a nice bit of warmth to my forehead, and I'm surprised at how much difference I notice when I do or do not contour around the outside of my forehead. With the smaller end of the brush, I picked up the light highlight in the center and mixed it with the softer highlight. And I did the tops of my cheekbones and then the center of my nose. I'll eventually add some of the yellow highlight in there just to add some brightness. But before that, I put on the blush shade, which was so pretty. I think it would pair so well with MAC's Lovelorn. It's a really beautiful shade. So here I'm grabbing that yellow-based highlighter just to add a bit of brightness right at the center of sort of my cheeks by my nose. And then I put on a little bit of Origin's pink gloss. I ended up topping it with a brighter Butter London shade just because I wanted a little bit more color on my lips.
So I love how soft and flattering these shades are on my skin tone. And since it comes with 2 different contour shades and 2 different highlight shades, you can tailor it to your specific skin needs. And do keep in mind, if you do get this palette, it's very pigmented. So the fluffier and loosely packed brush you use versus something really tight, the softer look you'll get in the end. So as you get comfortable with the colors and see what works best and is flattering on your skin tone, start with something fluffy, and then as you're getting more comfortable with contouring, or you want something a little bit more chiseled, or you have a problem area, like you know your jawline needs a lot of contour, you can use something that's packed a little bit tighter to really define that area with these shades. So there's a lot of versatility with them depending on what type of brush you use. So the brush that's sold with the Tarteist palette is what I used for a couple of the things today, but you'll notice I grabbed the fluffier brush for blush, and then I used a fluffier brush for some highlight. So play around with whatever brushes you have, and you'll be surprised to see how different the product will apply. I hope you enjoyed this makeup tutorial. If you want to see any others, you can find them on the beauty section of thesmallthingsblog.com.